For those of us coming from a traditional art background, one of the biggest problems we face when transitioning to digital is trying to duplicate the look and feel of traditional oil and watercolor paintings. A lot of the software applications do an adequate job, but most of the time they still come up just a little bit short. Well, one application that has managed to bridge the gap is called Realistic Paint Studio. As the name suggests, this app is about replicating the look and feel of traditional pencils, watercolors, and oils. It comes with 3 different tool sets, one for each medium, each with a range of different tools that look and behave in a very similar way to their real-life counterparts. And this is due to how the tools interact with the surface they're used on. Unlike other applications that simply add a textured effect to create the illusion of canvas interaction, the brushes in this software actually do interact with the surface. This isn't the first painting app to do this, but it's probably the most authentic looking one. But it's also the colors themselves that add to this realism. This is where the real magic happens. When we paint across the surface, the colors will shift in hue, value, and saturation as the color becomes more and more translucent, in a very similar way to pigment paints. This is in contrast to an app like Procreate, where the shift in translucency is really just a decrease in the color's opacity. This makes the blending of colors in Realistic Paint Studio look, and more importantly, feel a lot more natural. To take things even further, there's a mixing palette that allows for multiple colors to be selected at once to create even more natural looking artwork. Taking a close look now at the tool sets, and starting with the pencil set first, you're going to find an array of pencils, pens, and markers, each with their own unique characteristic. The thin pencil is great for gesture drawings, the mechanical pencil great for tight line work, and the classic pencil is a good all-purpose pencil great for numerous drawing needs. Alongside this are a range of blenders, graphites, markers, and pastels, all of which look and work fantastic together. Moving on to the watercolor toolset, and here you'll find a range of brushes with different watercolor uses, from wet and dry painting to blending to adding in salt speckles and even removing color with a paper towel. There are a few other watercolor apps out there that probably do a little bit of a better job in terms of simulating actual water on canvas, but the tools here still produce fantastic results. The real star of this show is the oil toolset. Like the watercolors, there's a range of brushes here, each with their own characteristics. The 1-inch brush, great for those tonal foundations. The fan brush, great for creating trees in our landscapes and long flowing hair. And the dirty brush is there for all those interesting textured effects. There's also a series of palette knives with different shaped blades, so there's plenty of familiar tools here for all the oil painters out there. Alongside our 3 workspaces are 2 additional tool sets. The first is a measuring set with an array of rulers, moving, masking, and cutting tools. The second is an inking tool set, which is a DLC add-on. Here you'll find a series of pens and inks, including fountain pen, calligraphy pen, and glitter pen. This isn't a necessary DLC to have, but it's also not a waste of money either, and can be really useful in helping to create certain effects that are missing from the other tool sets. If you feel like you're getting a little bit lost, there's a fantastic step-by-step tutorial that you can paint along with to show you the ropes. There's also a great little preview window when selecting a tool. Here you can see what the brush does, as well as test it out before selecting it. With your painting now complete, it's now time to export your image. You can either export the image with or without the background, or if you want to make it look like you've actually spent a few hours away in a studio, there's a cool little option that renders your illustration into a realistic 3D environment with a couple of background options to choose from. Want to record your painting process? Well, just like in Procreate, there's an option to record your painting and then export it to video. So what are the downsides? Well, the biggest downside is that this is more of a painting simulator than a digital drawing application. What this means then is that if you're used to apps like Photoshop, Clip Studio, or Procreate, you're going to find that this doesn't have the level of customization that you're used to. Just like in real life, the tools that you see are the tools that you get. This means investing the time into understanding how each of these tools work and how to use them to solve the problems. Some other issues are a few technical ones. Because this app is very heavy on the CPU on the desktop and on the battery life on the iPad, it means the canvas size is limited to 5,000 by 5,000 pixels, which may be an issue for some. Older iPads can still use this app, but lag starts to kick in once the canvas starts to get too large. The other issue is on the Mac desktop, where you'll find that when you export the image, sometimes the mouse cursor simply vanishes. This is usually solved by right-clicking the mouse a couple of times or shaking it. Not a huge issue, but just more of an annoyance. As for Windows users, I've not used the software on that operating system. I have read there are some bugs on there that happen from time to time, so for Windows users, you're best to do some research before purchasing. But other than those few technical issues that can hopefully be solved in the future, overall this is a fantastic app for those looking to emulate the look and feel of traditional paintings. Realistic Paint Studio does a lot of things that other apps have already tried, but the execution here is infinitely superior. There's a big learning curve for artists who have only ever painted digitally their whole life, but if you're willing to set aside the time and really learn the ins and outs of the app's tools, you may very well discover it's an app that you simply cannot live without.